Hello friends, I hope you have had or are having a wonderful day. Today I'm here to do a single review and that is for Jade Fire Gold by June C.L. Tan. I got this as a Fairyloot book, I do believe, and it's the first Fairyloot book I have actually read. So I went to join in with the read along when it was going on back in November I think, or possibly December, and yeah, I had fun reading it. So I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and we're following two main protagonists, Arn and Alton, and they have very differing kind of lifestyles before they meet. So Arn is no one, with no past and no family. Alton is a lost heir, his future stolen away as a child. When they meet, Alton sees in Arn a path to reclaiming the throne. Arn sees a way to finally unlock her past and understand her lethal magical abilities. They may have to pay a far deadlier price than either could have imagined, and it's set against the backdrop of an empire that's on the brink of war. Inspired by Chinese history. It says that June C.L. Tan writes science fiction and fantasy inspired by her childhood in multicultural Singapore, where she was raised on a diet of classic books and waxier movies, caffeine and congee. So it's a fantasy, it's YA, there's romance, there's betrayal, there's lots of twists and turns, and it's definitely a fun ride. I've got to say, the cover is definitely one to have intrigued me. It's very beautiful, and it's especially beautiful underneath the dust jacket and all the extra little additions that Fairyloot exclusive books have been known for. So if you want to see like a proper unboxing, feel free to check out that unboxing in the cards somewhere up here. Going into this knowing it was inspired kind of by Asian mythology and history, I was worried that my own ignorance of Asian mythology would alter my enjoyment of it, but it wasn't at all. I felt like I could enjoy it, appreciate what I was reading. Maybe some, I don't know, instances things might have gone over my head if I didn't know the finer details of what it was referring to, but I didn't feel like that hindered my reading experience at all. I felt truly immersed in the culture and the legend and just the storytelling. It was great fun to be absorbed in. I loved the setting, I loved the lore, and I really liked that at the heart of it there was this sort of theme of what the winners, especially if it's a corrupt winner, how they will go to any length possible to wipe out other people's voices, other people's histories, and kind of rewrite histories in the winner's favour, and how clouded that is, how very one-sided. You can't actually get a big picture of what's happened if you're only getting the victor's voice and viewpoint, and I thought that was really well explored in this story. You can see how it affected the characters that were following this, and just enjoyed that topic there. There was also really strong themes of that kind of classic Chinese traditional storytelling over family over everything, honour over everything, and that was interesting to see, especially when it came to certain situations where maybe that wasn't the case and maybe like particular truths were being revealed. I liked seeing how that kind of belief system was a conflict in a particular situation for a specific character, how that kind of affected how that character or characters felt about themselves when it came to matters. There was also a lot of betrayal and twists and turns in this that was great fun. A lot of the time I did find them to be predictable, but it didn't again take away any of the enjoyment of the storytelling. I was still excited to see how it would pan out in the greater scheme of things. I really enjoyed that we had a lot of political intrigue in this, and kind of learning the dynamics and the deception that was taking place in the palace, and how that affected the wider landscape of the empire and individual characters that we were following. The supporting cast were amazing. There were some great side characters in this, so they all kind of helped to build up the believability and just the quality of the characters of our main cast, as well as just, you know, extra awesome, fun, interesting characters to read from as well and see their different perspectives. So although we didn't get like main chapters from their viewpoint, it was fun to kind of get a glimpse of how they were feeling, you know, through the eyes of others, and just kind of what they were saying and how they were engaging with each other and others. That was quite fun too. Of course, I have issues with the insta love trope that was in here, but I feel like I've just got to kind of swallow that pill, because if I'm going to read YA fantasy / romance, there is definitely at most opportunities going to be some sort of insta love, and I've just got to kind of get over that. But it is one of the tropes that I really dislike. It just irritates me, but I don't think it was too over the top here. It kind of had, I guess, a deeper layer to why it was included and made sense to this connection that the two characters had. I mean, it worked for this story, but I didn't necessarily enjoy that aspect of it, you know. Another tropey kind of thing that I really get irritated by is when characters keep information because they're like, oh no, I don't want to burden someone, or oh no, like it's not important, don't worry, or they completely dismiss it for the sake of plot, when really it would have saved a lot of time, a lot of hassle, a lot of miscommunication, and just got to the point quicker. I get why it's done because of plot, but I don't think it's a valid enough reason, and that was oftentimes a tool used and a strategy used in this story, where I was like, oh, for goodness sake, just tell it how it is, you know. So many things would just be resolved if you just spoke what was on your mind, you know. As I mentioned briefly earlier, some of the plot points did feel a bit predictable, some of the twists and turns that it had, and I did predict the cliffhanger, but because so much had happened between me thinking about it and it actually happening, I'd forgotten. So it was still a nice surprise. It was handled well. I thought it was exciting and engaging, and even though I did guess it, it was still, it gave me the emotions that I wanted to get from it. I've seen that this is described as kind of like The Last Airbender, which I absolutely love to high heaven. It's like one of my favourite things ever, but I couldn't really see that connection awful amount. I guess a little bit in the magic system, but we didn't, personally I feel like we didn't explore the magic system enough for me to gauge like, oh yeah, heavy elemental magic, definitely like Avatar. But I'm hoping there'll be more in the sequel, and maybe I can get that sense a little bit more, because I'd love to read a Last Airbender kind of, not inspired, but kind of same sort of vibes. Overall, it was a solid debut, enjoyable. I would probably be interested in picking up more books in this series. I may not necessarily go out of my way to buy it myself, but if it was in like another subscription box or something like that, I would definitely get to it eventually. I wouldn't be in a rush to pick it up if the sequel is out now, but I'm interested enough, my interest is piqued enough to give it a go eventually. So yeah, that is Jade Fire Gold by June C.L. Tan. Let me know if you guys have read this book and what you thought. If you saw more of the Legend of Aang Last Airbender elements than I did, I'd love to know. And if you'd be continuing on with the series, I would love to know that too. Anyway, have a fabulous day, and I shall speak to you in another video soon. Bye!